Hello everyone and welcome to another speed run which I haven't done for a while, and I'm now playing a very good player, 23-37, and we're gonna go through the openings as we usually do, find typical mistakes and see if we can beat his arse. Not literally, because he's on the other side of the world, just on the chessboard. Alright, so I think we're going to play Sicilian. Now, we haven't played Sicilian for a while, and it's one of the most exciting openings you can play. The Open Sicilian, everyone should give this a go, because as black, you've got to play counter-attacking. As white, you've got to be super aggressive. My favourite way to meet this is by playing the dragon. I love this opening. It gives you lots of action. We're just going to fianchetto the bishop, move it towards the centre of the board. And white is playing the most aggressive way you can play against the dragon, which is queen d2, castles queenside, and this is a very typical position. Now, there's a couple of ways you can meet this, and the most historically correct way is by bringing the knight out here by castling. And the modern way of playing against this is something which not really many people do. I suppose it's a little secret way of playing, which I'm going to share with you now. I don't want to commit my king too soon, but I want to start by introducing some queenside play. So if my opponent castles queenside, which he'd probably do, I have this way of charging towards him on this area of the board. But if I play this move b5 too soon, he hasn't committed his king yet. And that means that he might be able to play a very thematic move against that, a4. And that kind of ruins the pawn structure over it. So you can imagine I go b5, he plays a4. What do? If I take on a4, he will take with the rook. And that leaves me a very weak a6 pawn, and he can still castle kingside. Now, if his king's over here, that whole plan becomes less relevant to the position, because he can open up his king over there. I don't mind. His king's on that side of the board. So I want to play a waiting move in this position. So we have to think about what he's trying to achieve. Well, he wants to go bishop to h6 and swap off the dark square bishops. He also wants to try to expand with moves like this. So my favourite way of playing this position is by playing this rather bizarre looking move, h5. It stops him playing bishop h6. It stops g4. And we kind of wait and see what he does. Now, this move is kind of preparing to play that one. So he's playing another waiting move. And now I want to do something with these pieces. I want to wait and see where he puts his king first. So I'm just going to move my knight into the centre of the board here. Another waiting move. He's playing the same game as me. As soon as he castles, I can play b5. But he doesn't want to commit his king. By the way, I will apologise slightly for the video, the quality of the video. I mean, I can see I'm going pale and not pale. I'll try to sort that out till next time. But let's just concentrate on what's going on the board. So what does white want to play? As soon as he goes here, I will go b5. I don't want to castle kingside too soon, because he'll play g4. He can't really play g4 now, because I will capture, and if he takes to the h-pawn, he'll lose his rook. So it's about setting the scene for the battle at the moment, and that's kind of what these higher level ELO games are all about. We both know the moves we want to play, but we have to adapt to our opponent's situation. Okay, so he's castled. So now I'm going to play b5. Before I play it, I've got to watch out for knight c6, queen c7 looks alright. I'm playing b5. Now, the move I was worried about before, a4, doesn't really matter anymore, because he doesn't want to open his king up. So now my opponent is just developing. So how does this move help him? Remember, everything's coming a lot quicker now. We're getting to the high level of these games. And the point of this move is, now the move g4 becomes much more playable, because if I capture, he can capture with the h-pawn. If I take his rook, he can capture back. And the move g4 accelerates him a lot on the area of the board, which I'm probably going to castle on. So if I played bishop b7 without thinking, he plays g4. It's a normal position. It's okay. But can I stop him playing this move? So I've got to counteract my aggressive ideas like bishop b7, get my rook to c file with his ideas. And I'm going to try to hold him up on that area of the board by playing h4. And this is a move, again, I only want to play when he's committed his king. Because now the idea of g4 is met by en passant. And I might lose this pawn eventually. It might become weak, but it gives me time to counterattack. He's playing quite slowly over here as well. I'm going to now play bishop b7. I don't have to worry about g4, but I'm trying to build up enough tempo on the queen side in this position to threaten him. And he's changing plans. He's trying to come through in the middle. He's playing very well. I'm going to move my rook to c8, line up against the king, because e5 is not a threat, and he's trying to kill me over here. And this looks like a very good way to play. Now, knight e5 would be normal. I don't want to go pawn takes, and allow the knight to come into e6. So how do I meet this? And I've got to find a good solution, otherwise I'll be in a lot of trouble. If I take with the pawn, he goes knight takes, my bishop's on pre there. So, okay, critical situation already. It looks a bit tricky for me, I'll be honest. If I go knight there, he takes, I take with a knight. Then knight f5 is something I deal with. Do I just take this, knight takes, and go something like king f8? I'm going to try that, because positionally I'm doing okay. But I might get checkmated in the meantime. So this bishop's on pre. Okay, I'm going to go king f8. And it looks, I have to say, like his attack should be quicker. I need a couple of moves here. Knight e5. I need to try and get my queen to a5. I need to try and go b4. And also my girlfriend is ringing at this moment in time, which probably doesn't help my position here. But let's see. My rook's a good defender over on this side of the board. My rook can defend the h file. It can stop his bishop coming in. But I need these moves to come in. Knight e5. I need to get my counterplay. So the whole part of this is I've been trying to hold up the king side and attack on the queen side. Okay, he comes in straight away, and now his queen is aiming to come in here with a check. He's playing extremely well. Okay. Now if I move my rook here, it can get attacked by the bishop. His queen is aiming to come in. Do I have to play a move like e5 here? I think I do. I have to block his bishop out. So I'm going to go e5. That means my knight can't come here. But priorities is I've got to keep my king as safe as can be. And I should at least gain a tempo because the bishop has to move back. But how do I get this counterplay going? I have to open up this area of the board. He's certainly a lot quicker. We'll have a quick look afterwards and see where I may have gone wrong. It feels like he must have the advantage in this position, but I feel I'm quite safe here. I'm controlling the center. My king has this square, and I need to try and accelerate some play. My time 4 minutes 44. Okay, not great. My opponent's time ticking down as well. He's obviously a very strong player. 23:37. He's thinking about the best way to continue here. Check. I will go king to f8. If his bishop comes back, how do I get that counterplay going? Okay, well, I have to go king to this square. I have no choice. Is there any way he can attack me now? Obviously, if he has time, he can build up on the f file, but that's going to take some tempo. But now I'm hoping if his bishop retreats, I have a typical sacrifice. Rook takes c3. I'm not sure this check was the right idea, because if his queen was on d2 still, he holds control of this square. But now I have some chances to get some counterplay. This is your normal attacking move. Whether it's going to be enough, it doesn't matter. You've got to take your opportunities. Okay, so does my queen come to c7 or to a5? Well, a5 looks more aggressive, attacking 2 pawns. I expect he will defend that with king b2. And I'm not going to do anything in this position without getting more firepower into the situation. So if he goes king b2, it seems like something like king e7 and then getting the rook to c8. I need to introduce more pieces to the position here. I've also realized, maybe, does rook h5 win his queen? Could I have played that last move and won on the spot? Fuck. I'm only looking at one area of the board and I didn't see this area. This just shows you where you've got to keep an eye on both sides of the position. But I think rook h5 actually traps his queen. If his bishop wasn't here, the queen could retreat. And this is kind of an undeserved tactic. I have to, I don't really deserve to win his queen here because I'm only concentrating this area of the board. But suddenly rook h5 wins his queen. And that also is good because it means he's not cheating. I always get paranoid doing these things. Is he a computer? But it's clear he's not a computer because he wouldn't have fallen for this move. And that is an undeserved tactic. But this queen check, I think my instinct was right. This check ruined his position. Had he kept his queen on d2, he could have the same kind of thing without falling for any of these sacrifices here, without falling for any of these problems of rook h5, trapping the queen. In this position, he's going to lose his queen. It doesn't mean I'm going to win the game, but there's nothing he can do now to stop this. And, well, I should win the game. I've also got ideas when I win the queen or take it on e4. I have exchanges on board. He's got compensation a little bit if he can get on the f file, but it shouldn't be enough. So he's spending his time here. He's thinking about what to play. If it wasn't for rook h5, and you've got to look out for both sides of the board, I would have continued king e7. And I think a common mistake that all players make, which I'm doing here, but which happens low down, you concentrate on one area of the board, and having that vision where you keep your eyes open to both sides of the board, to every area of the board, is so important. I know so many players, probably even around the 2100, 2200 area, ELO range, which concentrate on that one area of the board. It's a really something you've got to get out of the habit of doing. You've got to have that range of the board and understand everything that's happening on every area of the board. Now I'm playing very quickly here, and I've suddenly realised I'm going to allow him some pretty decent counterplay. And maybe I did this a bit too quickly, but don't relax until the game's over. He's got some ideas of checkmating me here. Actually, some very good compensation. So I've still got to be very accurate how we do this. Now queen here, trying to tie him down, is interesting, but I want to coordinate all of my pieces here. Now if I go knight c5, that is one check, but knight c5, bishop f6, and he's going to be threatening checkmate. Now knight b6 has the bonus that this, I've got to be very careful. Knight b6, check, king here, check, and I could get checkmated. So actually this is not a simple position at all. Even though he's blundered his queen, he's got this counterplay. King e8, rook here, and I'm very passive. I want to play knight b6. We have to calculate. Check, king here, check, and I get mated. Knight here, same thing, check. Actually this is very, very unclear. Queen here, do I have to defend? Maybe I do. I think I have to play this move. I'm kind of forced here. The position is actually not clear, because if he goes rook here, I can back up with my bishop. I've got to stop him getting access to the d8 square here. This seems key. What's my next move here? It's not clear. I've got to stay. Okay, well, my knight at least defends against bishop f6. So maybe something like king g7. Just a simple move. This knight is actually a very good defender. Again, thinking about every side of the board. I've got to stop the bishop coming to f6. This move is too strong. So I need my knight to defend. So had I gone with my instinct and gone the offensive, I would have lost that game. So you've got to back up everything with calculation. You've got to be aware of your opponent's ideas. This move is key to stop. And I think my knight actually belongs here. I've got to go defensive. Okay, so he's going for a rook check here. But now if my king comes to this square and I keep my knight here, I think I'm all right. I've got to stop the check. I might even bring my bishop to just close into my king to defend stuff. But my knight, it's clear, belongs on this square. My bishop controls this diagonal. My knight controls here. He does have a check, My king comes back, should be okay. I'm up on material. I don't need to force the issue here. I don't need to attack. Maybe a move, hang on a minute, like f5 could even be an idea, just to stop this forever. I don't have to force the pace. When you're material up, you don't have to force the pace in the position. This check, I think I have king g8. It's always good to have a plan up your sleeve though. Maybe even f6 is a good move, so my king can come towards the center. Something like that makes sense. At the right time, my knight will go on the offensive, but if I move my knight now, I'll get checkmated immediately. Key piece. So what if he tries to go rook here and take that knight? Well, then he never has bishop f6. His pieces just don't have enough energy, and that's often the problem when you're material down. And he's getting low on time here. He's running out of ideas, but I think that was a very interesting moment. You know, I wanted to go on the offensive, but sometimes you have to back down. Sometimes you have to go defensive. And we will now adapt to his moves. We can improve our position, as we say, maybe f6. The king has an extra square. Maybe f5. And at the right time, we'll go on the offensive. Maybe even a5, b4. Doesn't look that good, but we can go for that. Okay, so rook here. Now that seems to run into the idea of f5, which I think improves my position because my king has another square and I gain tempo. So we'll do that with tempo. There's no threats now, so I think I'll go f4 because his rook defends c3. My pawn blocks his that rook off, and this is only helping me. So I can move a lot quicker now. If he comes back here, I will... Okay, now my king is safe. Now I can attack. I'll go here because my knight has many squares. I can suddenly go offensive. My knight can come in with check. He's trying to open up the position. But this check seems like the right way to play, even though this one, followed by queen up here, it also seems tempting. Let's have a look. Check, king here. No, we're going to go this way. I think they're both good. I don't know what's better. But this way allows checkmate.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, my friend.
Oh, and I've gone pale now. The more... Oh, look at this. Changing colours. Let's have a little look at the game review there. That was not by any means a perfect game, as you can see. We'll just show it very quickly on the highlight. But that was what I call a very real game. Up and down, exciting, with lots of interesting moments. I mean, there were times here where I was quite a lot worse. So I was losing around this point here, and we did think the opening was not perfectly played. Now, I'm not going to waste my time by looking at the opening with you. And even actually later on, queen a5 was a mistake. I should have gone rook there. But okay, what I would say about that game, that was actually a real game between two humans in a very exciting opening. You take your chances when you get it. His queen g5 seemed like a very bad move to me. Did not need to play that move. I'm going to go and check the opening later on. And all in all, exciting stuff, and hopefully it helps you. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I have a friend here who's going to just poke his head in. Come on, Blair. Come and say hello quickly. Okay, that's enough. Get your head out of the picture now. Ruining my video with that face.
You can edit it later.
No, you're improving it. I'm sorry about the video quality. We'll make sure that's better now, but I just want to get a video out there and to keep things relevant. Cheers. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.